We are the Lab Doctors. I'm Amanda.
I'm Dorothy.
And I'm Zhao Yong.
We are biomedical researchers who realized we still have a lot to learn about science.
So why not join us on this quest?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lab Doctors podcast. So this week, Zhao Yong will be taking us through the topic, so go ahead.
So today I want to talk about regret.
Regret.
Yeah.
Regret.
So why I wanted to read up and talk about regret is because a few episodes back we were talking about emotional biases. And I feel like regret is one of those negative bias things that kind of drive us to not want to make the same mistake again.
Yeah.
So this episode is kind of related, and I guess if you listen to the episode you'll get the most out of both, but if you don't it should also be fine. Yeah. So the first interesting point I kind of want to talk about for regret, I mean for some reason it never occurred to me, but then like reading about it I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, is that regret is heavily intertwined with individual agency.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so that means like your ability to choose. So if you don't have agency in a situation, like you don't have a choice, like you can't regret the choice because you didn't make the decision.
It's like how we always avoid making decisions for each other because we're like, oh, if I didn't make the decision, I can't like regret it.
Yeah.
And I can blame the other person.
Yeah, because actually your lack of making a choice is also a choice. And so technically you can also regret it lah.
Yeah, because you didn't speak out, and then like if things don't go the way you want it to, it's kind of your fault also.
Yeah, I'll say like I regret listening to you.
Which is a good segue into the two types of regrets two general umbrellas of regret that there is out there. The first one is regrets of action, and then the second one is regrets of inaction.
Right.
So that means if you didn't make a choice also. So regrets of actions are as they sound, basically regretting decisions or choices because of the negative consequences in either the short or long term. So regrets of inaction are just the opposite, basically regrets resulting from a lack of decision. But today, I want to talk about what I actually want to talk about is the factors of regret. These factors are outlined in a paper by a research group from New Zealand led by Ross Flett, F-L-E-T-T. So they surveyed 500 people on their regrets. So all of these people that they surveyed are from New Zealand. They are also self-reporting this regret. So these are some of the limitations that they listed out in the paper.
But regret has to be self-reported, right?
I mean, either way, it's like you can get it through an interview so you can reduce the biases.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's so much more effort.
Yeah.
But there's also like, humans being an unreliable narrator. So even if you get it through interview, you might still get that bias.
Yeah. Especially when there's a time aspect to it. The longer away you are from the incident, the more biases that you kind of input inside it, because you also lose memory of what exactly happened, and then you kind of fill in the gaps with your own crazy emotions.
Humans.
We are rationalize why you made that mistake.
That might also happen. Yeah, exactly. So going into the first factor, which is what we kind of already talked about, is the temporal factor. Okay. So like time, how much time has passed. So typically, what was postulated is that depending on how much time has passed from the incident, people generally assume that, the longer the amount of time, the less regret I would feel.
Supposedly.
Right.
Supposedly.
Yeah. But interestingly, psychologists have postulated that regrets of action are actually more intense in the short term, while regrets of inaction are more intense in the long term.
Okay, wait. Let me digest.
Regrets of intent.
No, regrets of action.
Regrets of action
are more intense in the short term versus regrets of inaction, which are more intense in the long term.
Kind of makes sense to me because regrets of action means there's a consequence. There usually is a consequence like right away. So that's why you would feel it more in the short term. Whereas regrets of inaction, it might take a while for the consequence to like kick in.
Or you might think about it, and then you think of what could have happened if you did it. So
but enough time has to pass before you can. Okay, that makes sense.
So the other reason that they gave was that regrets of action can be remedied by subsequent corrective behaviors, whereas such opportunities are not afforded to by regrets of inaction because you wouldn't know the outcome any other way, So it's like, because I didn't make a choice, so I don't know how to fix it.
You know what example I was thinking? Like having a kid. It's like when you have a kid, you might like instantly regret it because of like how much trouble there is. But then if you don't have a kid, down the road, many years later, you'll be like, wish I had a kid.
Yeah. I think kind of like you wouldn't know otherwise, right?
Yeah.
And then like, can you correct that behavior? Like, not really.
Yeah.
Right. But interestingly, so what Flett's group found was that actually there's no evidence to suggest that regrets of inaction are felt more intensely over time compared to regrets of action. So actually it's both the same.
Oh, okay.
After I read that part, I was just like, oh, I'm thinking about the regrets of actions that I've had. And I'm like, oh, I still feel them very intense. So let's say I pick the same time point. How much I feel would be the same regardless of whether or not it's a regret of action or inaction. That's what they're saying.
Oh, so say like 30 days after a decision or non-decision.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You should still feel like roughly the same amount of regret for either type of this regret.
But if you say 30 days, I would understand because it's like enough time has passed for the healing process to come in. But if it's like one day after...
Oh.
But I don't know. This kind of suggests also that the healing aspect is kind of like not true.
Why?
If you think about it. Because then I still feel the regret as intensely. So time doesn't heal all wounds. It's a lie. Heal some
But it's the best, one of the best way, I guess.
Is it?
to heal wounds.
Not physical. Oh wait, physical wounds as well.
I would say physical wounds, yes. Emotional, I don't know. Some people have like pent up resentment over
actually
years
true.
though.
Yeah. So what was interesting is that the frequency of lifetime regrets of inaction was greater than regrets of action. So that means that you kind of have more regrets because you didn't do something compared to regrets where you actually did something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, in movies, they always like, on their deathbed, you know, they're like, old people never say that they regret like doing this or doing that. They always regret like not spending enough time with their family.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're bringing up deathbed regrets.
Oh.
Moving on to the next factor. Actually, no, the next factor has nothing to do with deathbed. It's just like down the line that I want to talk about.
Okay.
But the second one is decision justification. So this theory states that the intensity of a regret is affected by whether or not the regrettee believes that their choice was justified. Regrettee being the person that regrets.
That
Or
was a very
regretter.
long scene.
Regretter.
Regretter.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
Regrettee or regretter. If they feel like their choice was justified, even though they regret the choice, they feel it less intensely than maybe a choice that they felt wasn't as justified.
Which makes sense what Dorothy said just now about rationalizing your decision. So this is kind of that, right? So you justify your decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I have a kid, I have to justify like after I give birth, right?
What's happening, Dorothy?
No,
Is there something you need to tell?
No. But like it's one of those where like it's some people really want and some people really don't want, but you cannot have the best of both worlds kind of thing.
What do you mean?
Like having a kid, you cannot have like half a kid, or you can't have, unless you like foster a kid. But other than that, it's like either yours or not yours, and you will never know the other which option is better in your lifetime.
Right. So then if you're capable of justifying that, maybe that choice is not the worst choice.
Yeah, you have to justify it like, oh, the kid's kind of cute, it gives me happiness. But then after that, you're like, okay, anyway, the example is too long.
Rolling my eyes like, oh yeah, because the kid's kind of cute so that I don't regret it. Really? Anyway. Yeah, so Flett's group found that, that's true. And there was also no difference between explicit and implicit justifications. So explicit justifications meaning
From
like...
the outside, people telling you or like there's a feedback or like a result.
Or implicit, so like whether or not a choice aligned with my values. Yeah, so if there is more reasons to justify it, there is less intense of regret felt.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. So lastly, social context. So basically what I mean by social context is that regrets in contexts that affect the regrettee's social belonging tend to be felt more intensely than those that do not.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So like, let's say if
it ostracizes you from the community, then you would feel it more.
Yeah. Like if I threw everyone under the bus for like maybe something that went wrong at work.
And everyone hates you now.
And everyone hates you. Then you kind of regret the decision and then you don't want to do that moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's assuming that you don't think it's justified. Like if you think it's justified to throw people under the bus, then the amount of regret you feel for that is also less.
Throwing people under the bus is not justified, right?
Depends. Like let's say if...
I mean, if you think you're not in the wrong.
Yeah.
I think I just didn't know the definition of throw them, but I thought it meant like sabotage.
Oh, no. Like,
or
it's
like
a bit
you
like...
expose them.
Put the blame blame on someone.
Yeah, like whistleblowing a bit.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like whistleblowing is a bit more noble, whereas throwing under the bus is like saving my own ass.
Oh, yeah, usually it is that.
Okay, understand.
Yeah.
But I feel like it gets a bad rap. Like I don't like throwing people and I don't like being thrown under the bus. But sometimes it's justified,
You just
right?
need to protect yourself
And
sometimes.
then that would be whistleblowing. So I change all my definitions again because words have meaning. So whistleblowing is fine, but like...
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. Whistleblowing is so
okay.
righteous.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Versus...
Just ignore everything we just said.
Yeah. Throwing people
Just
under
say
the bus.
whistleblowing, then you just cut all the whistleblowing out.
Everyone's going to say whistleblowing so that Taoyong can.
You cut enough different kinds of whistleblowing.
And then every time we say whistleblowing, it's the same like tone and inflection and everything.
So what Flat's group found was that it's true that regrets that affect one's social standing was felt more intensely than those that did not. However, the effect size is not large. So like you probably would feel it a bit more, but yeah. And evolutionarily, that kind of makes sense because then if a regrettee's decision threatens their sense of belonging, then they are less communal and less able to fit into a group, and which means they're less able to survive. So
Yeah,
kind of makes sense.
Humans are social beings.
Yes. And so now I want to give y'all a choice because we are talking about regrets and we'll see whether or not we regret this choice.
Okay.
So I have split this part into two different possible segments that we can have. One would be talking about the 5 most common regrets at the end of a person's life, or the next one is like 4 kinds of regrets that's common globally.
Huh? And you won't tell us the other one?
Yeah. We'll decide whether or not. And one is definitely better than the other, in my opinion.
Wait, what?
I'll just Google it myself.
Or you can read my script after that.
True.
But one is definitely better than the other.
I guess the listeners will know.
Yeah, the listeners.
You can listen to it at the end of the podcast. So you must listen all the way.
We'll link everything so you can read it up yourself if you want to.
Right.
But like, so right now we have either 5 most common regrets at the end of a person's life or the 4 most common kind of regrets globally.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if I'm ready, but in the interest of time.
I feel like we should say it together so that I don't influence your thoughts.
Okay, so
It's either globally or deathbed.
Yes, okay.
One.
Like straight away.
1, 2, 3,
count
say.
down?
Okay.
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 Sure.
So
But can you give us a bit of time to think about it?
I have my answer already.
you can think about it.
Wait, what? I don't get
5
it.
minutes later. Like you think you can decide now.
Aren't the deathbed regrets like globally also?
No, the deathbed regrets are from a palliative caretaker from Australia.
Oh, okay.
Well, that changes things. I mean, not say it changes things, but like it affects my decision.
Okay, I decided.
Okay, so I'm gonna say like what, 3, 2, 1? Then
Yeah,
y'all can-
okay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Globally.
Yeah.
Oh, yes!
Okay, and I won't tell y'all whether or not that was the thing that I felt was more boring. So then
Just tell us!
I felt the global one was more boring. But
What? No.
Should we do the deathbed one then?
no, regret your choice.
Oh my god! No, because like I feel like in my life I've heard about deathbed regrets.
More.
And like
You
people,
can kind of figure it out
people
also, I feel.
constantly tell you to think about like what if tomorrow your life ends? What do you want to do? And I have
Yeah.
no answer for it. So it's like whatever lah.
Yeah. Okay, moving into global regrets, there's this US author called Daniel Pink, and his team have collected more than 16,000 regrets from people in more than 105 countries. So this project is called the World Regret Survey, and it forms the largest pool of data ever collected about human regret. Yeah. So then the first type of regret that is commonly observed is foundation regrets.
What does that
So
mean?
basically, these are typically regrets of inaction, like I didn't do something. And they arise from our failures to have either foresight or conscientiousness in like the now.
That's so vague.
Hold on. So the choices associated with this type of regret require short-term sacrifice, but typically have long-term payoff. So this is like basically a lot of finance and health-related stuff lah. Like, so if I exercise today, then like I would retain my health like down the line. but like I chose not to do it, and down the line I will regret this choice. And so that's a foundation regret because you don't have the foundational health things lah. So it's the same as like money. If I save money now, then I have interest and it compounds in the future, and then I'll have more money in the future. But because humans in general, we can't really see that long term. And so we make a lot of bad short term decisions that leads us to have these foundational regret.
Okay.
So this is one that is relatively global. And so the article that I kind of referenced, they were like, oh, so like we'll tell you what to do about these regrets, like how you can avoid these regrets. But these suggestions are not helpful because I'm going to say it now. And it is think ahead, do the work and start now.
Like, duh.
So the second type is boldness regrets. So this is just your regrets of inaction in general. So you weren't bold enough to make a decision or make a choice or ask someone out. You're not a risk taker. You don't want to like take out a particular opportunity because you feel like you are not good enough or you're not at that stage yet.
Yeah, in our Regretting Life Choices episode, I talked about how it's like, am I going to be a researcher? And one of the bonus thing is like, well, I want to take a second degree. I mean, not a second degree. Well, I want to change my career path because I'm just scared lah.
Yeah. So this is the typical drive for regrets of inaction, where you kind of feel like you don't want to do it because you don't have enough courage to do it. And so their suggestion is...
Just do it, Nike.
Yeah, basically. Ask the person out, take the trip, start the business, speak up on behalf of yourself or someone else.
Right.
My lesson is when an opportunity presents itself, look into it, find out more and find out whether or not it is something that you truly want to do. I feel like that's more helpful than just jumping into a decision like blindly.
Yeah.
Like if you are going to regret the choice, at least make it a justifiable regret.
Yeah, make a wise choice.
It doesn't feel as intense.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, because
I think out of the three factors you said just now, like the justifiable one is the one that you can control more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then the third one is moral regrets.
Oh.
So these are regrets of action, and this type of regret typically involves making a choice that's morally questionable. So like, or not even just morally questionable, it's like, let's say you are presented with two options, whether or not you want to be the bigger person or you want to take the low road and throw people under the bus.
Whistleblow.
No, whistleblow is the high road.
Yeah. So even though they are not very common, they are often the ones that is felt most intensely also because you feel like it's morally wrong to have made a choice that you've made.
Yeah. Like it might just be a joke, but it's like it can be a joke taken too far.
Oh yeah, like the recent Oscar fiasco.
Yes.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing.
There's more nuances to that.
Yeah.
And we're not
going to get
into
At this point, it's like, oh, the Oscars happened. That's what some of the comments are saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the last regret.
Wait, what's the first three? Sorry.
So the first one is
foundational.
Yes.
And then
boldness. Third one is moral regrets.
Okay.
And the last one is connection regrets.
Social.
Yes, basically social. So these regrets are either activity or inactivity, because activity can be like, oh, I did something that made me lose connection with a person, or inactivity is like, I didn't ask people out enough and then now I lost them as a friend. So
I was thinking more of marriages.
Yeah.
Like divorce rates are going up, so like will people regret?
It's true.
People regretting.
It's true.
Yeah.
So these regrets typically happen when you neglect people who matter to you.
Yeah.
And these regrets make up the largest category of regrets that humans have.
Ooh.
So these regrets typically start off with, if only I had reached out to a person, or like, if only like I had done something before it was too late. And so they are typically split into two types, open door or closed door regrets. So open door regrets is like, you can still do something about it. Closed door is just like, maybe they are dead. The person's dead.
Right.
Person's D word. Never mind. The person has passed on.
Passed away.
And so you can't really do anything about it. Or the person has moved away, or they are just no longer in your life.
Or they don't want to come into contact with you anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So basically what their suggestion for this is, if it's a closed door regret, do better next time.
What do you mean? Do better with another person. Which means then for the open doors one, take action.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. If it's an open door regret, do something now. No, but I feel like maybe some people need that push, you know?
Yeah, true.
Because like as much as I'm like, oh yeah, obviously this is what you need to do, but I feel like for my open door connections to me, I'm still like, yeah, I'm not doing anything.
It goes back to our friend zone episode. I'll be like, that person want to write me off, then I write that person off. Why must I be the one to reach out?
Yeah, but if you don't regret it, it's fine. The point is, if
There'll
you will
be like
regret it or
sad
you're
points
regretting
in
it
my
now.
life.
But do you regret it?
Yeah, would you regret it?
I think sadness is not the same as regret.
Yeah.
True.
Like if you think about those relationships now, is the feeling sadness or regret? Because if it is sadness, then it's fine.
It's like, yeah,
Kinda
it's
means
more
you
like it's a
accept.
pity.
Yeah,
But
but
not
if you
really
feel
regret. Okay, fair enough.
regret,
You're like, oh my goodness, I should have done
should have
something
done
differently.
Okay.
Whereas,
if you're like, yeah, but they also never do anything, so it's fine.
Mutual hate.
Or rather, it's like acceptance. You accept that relationship.
Okay, that means there's no regret.
Yeah, that means you don't regret it.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
my whole takeaway from this whole thing is I just have to justify. I just have to think about things more and justify. Honestly,
Yeah.
if you think about it, that's every time you say something, I'm like, oh, basically I just need to justify my decisions and
I
actions
shouldn't have
more.
said
But it's the
I agree.
second thing.
I feel like justify and then get someone who resonates with you. And then like ignore the ones that like don't resonate with you. That's always how I try to justify my action. Like I seek for compliments, like seek for assurance.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's like
Affirmation,
validation.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
But I feel like the issue with that is it might lead to delusion. Like, you know, you
Don't care. I just want to feel good. I don't want to feel regrets.
So to our listeners, if you are fine with dealing with regrets in this way, I think that's up to you, you know. But if you're not, these are the things that maybe you should think about and actually actively change and do lah. Like think about, introspect a bit more about your choices and your feelings and what you actually want to do in your life. And then maybe this would have helped you.
Are you listening to yourself say all those things?
Yeah, I always give people
Advice, but
advice.
take your own
I don't
advice.
take my own advice. It's like, yeah, I'll just justify it all away. It's fine. Any other thoughts?
No regrets.
Don't regret subscribing. You won't regret.
Yes, and you won't regret subscribing to our Spotify or subscribing to our YouTube channel.
Or following us on
Following us on
Spotify.
Spotify and subscribing to our YouTube channel. A like and a comment would really help us out. And you can rate us 5 stars. I feel like you won't regret that. Would you regret that? Maybe you would. I mean, it
You can
really
change
really
your
depends.
rating
Yeah, you can change your rating. So
Oh, it's an open door
it's an
kind of.
open door. Open door regret.
You won't regret following us on social media as well. Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And you can, it's an open door as well because you can unfollow us, but please don't. Anytime. And you can DM us any questions.
Or you can email us at thelabdoctors@gmail.com. I guess that's an inaction one, right?
No, but that one is also a bit closed out. Once you like send the mail, you can't take it
Oh,
back.
yes.
Oh.
Nowadays, there's no like
Recall.
retract.
Yeah.
You can't really recall it well.
Anyway, we'll link all the articles in the episode description as well, so check it out.
Especially the death bit.
Yeah. If you're interested, find out the death bit one.
Or you can like, if you don't want to read it, just like hound us for it. Then maybe we'll do it in the
Like a
next
small
episode.
part,
Yeah.
Ah.
Bonus episode.
Mm.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.